Okay, so my guests this morning for AM Talk, all of them are members of the Public Accounts Committee. Wando is a ranking member. It's important I state that. And Alhaji Abubakar Ibrahim Day is a member of parliament for Salaga South, and he's here. He's been to the constituency since the 22nd of December, and he's now back. I guess his ribs are all aching.
Not really.
Not really.
Yes.
You don't have aching ribs, but you're just tired.
Yeah, I'm tired.
All right.
Yes.
And one person who is also critical, but when you ask him, you say, "Look, I'm only critical because I'm stating the fact." It's Kingsley Jedu Abuaji.
No, Abuaji Jedu.
Okay, Abuaji Jedu. It's important I put
yes.
the prefixes right as far as the names are concerned. And he is member of parliament for Bibiani and Rianso Bekwai. And it's in the western region, but close to Ashanti. For those of you who tend to travel to that area. Thanks for joining me, sir.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Now, critically, would want to speak to a number of subjects, and I know it will fall rightly in your domain. We'll talk about the economy because Professor Kwesi Botwe has been speaking on the IMF bailout and how negotiations, I think, are very much far advanced, etc. And also the subject being raised by Imani, which subsequently has been rubbished by the Accountant General Department about payroll fraud and what the Auditor General also needs to do as far as we're concerned. So we'll be talking about that. But first, let's look at the fire incident that happened at the Central Medical Stores of the Ministry of Health, and it's based in Tema. I want to start with your observation about the way it's been dealt with over the last few days.
Thank you very much, my brother, and a very good morning. And a happy and prosperous new year to all your viewers all over the world. I know your platform is one of the biggest and most credible in the system.
Amen.
Ghana.
Thank you.
Talking about the fire incident, you see, for me, I see a lot of challenges in our system. And I'm praying for the day that we'll get somebody who want to do the right thing, or some sort of, I don't know, I don't want to call it revolution, some sort of change in attitude. And it's because we live in a country where you make a mistake, either by omission or commission, and you go unpunished. How else can we explain fire in the Central Medical Stores? I mean, this is the place where we keep all the essential medicines for the country. And this fire happened only for us to realize that, one, there's no insurance. Two, probably no precautionary measures were taken. I don't even think anybody has ever thought of fire. And this is a country where in the last 6 years we have several fire outbreaks in key and sensitive places. There's that saying in Akanda, when you see your fellow's chin burning, then the least you can do is to bring water closer to yours. And yet, no action whatsoever was taken. The fire service has also been exposed. Likewise, the water company or whatever, whoever is in charge of water. Now it's a blame game. Fire service is saying that, oh, there was no water in the hydrant. Then water company said, no, you are lying. We even had to divert water from some other sources, just so that you can get access to water. At the end of the day, the fact still remains that we hear or we understand that Ghana Fire Service had to drive their tanks, had to drive to the sea to fill their tank. And you and I know that this is not the best. Now the whole thing is bent. Nothing can be, I mean, I don't think any better thing can be salvaged from the place. But are we learning the key lessons? What measures are we taking to prevent I think aside the Central Medical Stores, we also have regional medical stores, even at the district hospitals. Are we taking any lessons from this one? So that what has gone, there's no way we can salvage, but are we preventing any such catastrophe in the other places? If we don't learn lessons from that, I tell you, we'll be here. I will not be a prophet of the doom, but the next time you hear the next regional medical stores or something far even more important will catch fire, and Ghana will be the loser. You and I are going to be the losers. We hear all the insurance people talking I hear there was even an insurance company that went there to do some sort of survey.
We're told that SIC went there.
That's all. They did a survey and gave them the advice that, look, before we will be ready to insure your destiny, we want you to do A, B, C, D. And I'm very much, I can imagine somebody say, well, this is too tall, this is too, we can't do it. They forget about it. And lo and behold, I'm sure our hair is less than 1 month, and look at what has happened. So as a country, what are we doing? How are we ensuring that our generation and then generations yet unborn will enjoy a better life than we are doing?
As usual, we're playing blame games, and even not only blame games on those who are currently resolving the issue by putting out the fire, but even as far as for administrative reasons, playing blame games. Press conferences have been put together. Typically, that's what we do. We put together committees, and we have done all that. But at the end of the day, who should be getting the flack for perhaps not being proactive and being responsible?
That's a very good question. Thank you very much. Let me also greet your viewers and wish them happy and prosperous New Year. And greetings to my people from the 2 Salaga constituencies. I've just returned from that place. To the main issue, I cannot but to agree with my colleague, most of the issue I said, but to come to your question not to that way, somebody must pay for this. There's no excuse for this.
Because we're told it's in sum of some 230 million Ghana cedis. That's huge.
Even if it is 2 cedis, it doesn't matter the quantum of the money. It's the system. Our problem in this country is allowing systems to work. And when the system failed, we want to trace where it has happened and find out this and going on. Sometimes the culture is the system. And he put a question and said, let's come back to what you're saying. As far as I'm concerned, somebody was made to pay for this. And the question is, nobody has even resigned yet, as the thing has happened. And somebody must have resigned by now for what has happened. There's no any excuse. Like my colleague was saying, even let's take last year ago, the number of fire outbreaks in the country is not to serve a lesson for whoever is in charge in this medical store to say, look, this, you know that there are a lot of chemicals there. And the second to fuel, petrol, and fire outbreak is chemicals. That is why they couldn't control the fire when they come to it. And therefore, whoever, you see, sometimes we play politics with everything. This should be an institution, and if institutions have to work in this country, who is the head of that particular institution? What measure did he take to prevent this is happening? That's the first thing. Prevention is better than cure. Who is supposed to make sure that this measure took in place? And I'm surprised to hear my colleague say that SIC even went and advised them a month before this. It was buying time. So whoever is charged first must be made to go. Then those responsible look at the fire outbreak and go. After the fire outbreak, it can be asthma, it can be acid, it can be anything, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place, whatever it is. So somebody must be made to pay. I cannot stand here and say who is the person, but who the minister should know the person. It's an institution. Somebody is heading it. Negligence out of commission or omission should have been paid. You see, our problem, once we don't start punishing people, we can have this kind of things happen day and day and go on. For example, I heard the minister saying that he has cautioned all the regional stores and everything this morning to take precaution and look at those critical areas that can be insured. I said, of course, you cannot insure. I have worked with the government for many years. And government cost of insurance is very high. By risk, you calculate risk and find out which risk can you absorb and which risk can you pass away. That's the essence of every organization. Look at your assets and look at the risk, and then look at the quantum and look at which risk should I absorb, which risk should I pass away. If they think that that particular risk is something they can absorb, the measures should have been taken to prevent any outbreak going on, and that is not being done. So as far as I'm concerned, first and foremost, about the head of the institution or the head of the Ghana health service, if they are in charge of it, if they are, please don't misquote me, in charge of it, should have been given way by now. There's no excuse for that. So that when the people are gone, then we carry further investigation and find out the culprits to this and go on. Even if the culprit is an asthma, how did he manage to get access to do that? How was he allowed to get away with this? And therefore, before the investigation, somebody must be made to go away. There is no excuse for this, as far as I'm concerned. Now, when we come to the other institutions, because it's a collaboration. Fighting fire is a collaboration effort. All of us are supposed to go to it. Fire service were saying that they also have no excuse to give, because they are supposed to inspect all those buildings once in a while, quarterly, to find out whether they meet the measures, the standard measure of these things. They have also failed in their duty. If those people couldn't do it, they have a responsibility in their act every quarter to go to all the critical institutions, investigate to find out whether they are meeting the standards put on. Did they do that? We should find out. If they fail to do that, then somebody must pay the price and go on. Then when you come to the other collaboration like water, who are also complaining, they also have a responsibility, because these are critical institutions that are going around. Did they have the adequate, the hydrant, have the water supply in that place? They must also check out. The managing director of the water there, or the regional manager in charge of that area is supposed to. You see, people sit down, they don't work in this country, they get paid. That is the problem. They sit down and they don't work. And when issues like this happen, sometimes with ineptitude, or they're just inefficient, whatever they are doing, and go on. And therefore, I think that somebody must be made to pay for this, what has happened, to serve as a deterrent, so that, you know, the reason why, if you take our institutions and other institutions, when you commit such a crime, let's say in another jurisdiction, even if it's 100 years, you'll be punished, to serve as a deterrent, that somebody know that, look, what I did, they'll always trace me and I'll get go on. But here, people get away. So Kwame Hassan is the worst Kofi thing, that if Kwame Hassan get away, why should I also not do it?
Right. Well, Mr. Abonye, if you take a critical look at what has happened, it's very easy for somebody to pinpoint, and we've had the Interior Minister come out and say, and the very day that the press conference was put together, saying that, well, there's always a suspicion of arson. We know that prior to the fire happening, we're told that long before that also there'd been a call for audit by the former health minister, and even seconded by the current minister as well.
Yes.
Okay, so all these are grounds that could be used to fest whatever grievances that people have, and so etc., etc. But the point is that how come critical institutions, we don't have security cameras that will tend to whether they are an authorized movement at the place, inside for a stock worth 237 million Ghana cedis. I mean, it's good enough to use, let's say, even $5 million Ghana cedis to protect it. It makes a lot of sense.
Of course.
My brother, you see, when you want to think about Ghana, you might even go crazy, I tell you. You travel outside this country, live for 6 months and come back. You see that there's every single thing wrong with our system. Everything is wrong. But I keep asking, who is going to do the correction?
Who should be doing? I should ask you.
It should be the leadership.
And leadership is who?
Leadership changes everything. And that is why the politics come in. Because at the end of the day, we live in a country where people, like my ranking member is saying, people break their laws and they go scot-free. Who has a duty to enforce the law? And if he doesn't do it, who has a duty to ensure that he does what he's supposed to do? If that doesn't happen, we keep saying that, oh, we want the systems to work. How can the systems work if people are not punished for their misdeeds, for their act of omissions and commissions? That is how systems are built. But if you have a country where people flout the law, and all we hear is that we've set up a committee, and there's that axiom in politics that if you want to hide anything, just set up a committee. By the time the committee report comes, it goes through a whole lot of process. It ends up on the shelves.
It's
nothing else. That's all. Because, and issues upon issues. Today we are discussing this. I can bet my last penny. By next month, another issue has cropped up. We put this one aside. We go to the next one. So we are we are fast becoming a country of discussions or discussants, but no action. For Christ's sake, if the immediate past for Minister for Health called for audit, how long does it take to get auditors to do this? I am an auditor myself. I know how things work. If indeed he wanted to be firm, he could have contracted an auditor within 2 weeks to start an audit. And that tells you that, everything was not going on well there. And how come Ministry of Health is supposed to have an internal audit, or there is an internal audit agency that is supposed to have a rep at such a sensitive place? Were they there? If they were they sleeping on the job? So there's a whole lot of people that should have resigned by now. But I bet you nobody will resign and nobody will.
You made a mention of leadership. If you say leadership, I hope if this very call is coming from you, the politicians,
Yes.
then it depends on which side of the political divide you are. It's always assumed you're throwing the arrow or perhaps directing the arrow towards the head. And that should be the precedent.
You see,
but at the end of the day, leadership, it encompasses a lot, even at middle level, at the lower level, before we have the upper echelons.
Yeah, but see, why when we in this country when we talk about leadership, we actually ultimately go to the top man.
Why do we do that?
Because at the end of the day, I am an ordinary member of Public Accounts Committee.
You're not ordinary.
Yes,
you're not ordinary.
We meet. I make suggestions. Leadership can decide that, oh, all the suggestions you are making is very good. But at the end of the day, for some reasons that they might want to disclose or not disclose, we cannot go along with your decision. What can I do? If you belong to a group and the group makes a decision, it is binding on you. Or when majority decides that this is how we are going to treat it, that is it. But I am looking forward to the day that we'll get a leader who will say, look, I am a no-nonsense man. If you go wrong, I was in the UK when, I've forgotten this man's name. He was a top man in Tony Blair's government. He was made a minister of interior or something. For some flimsy excuse, he had to resign. And he resigned. And if you cannot resign, you'll be pushed.
Even in Korea, it's after the recent boat disasters and things like that.
Look let's give you a living example. Do you think if it was any other country, the immediate past post minister will be in government? You supervise over such a mess, and before he comes back to the country, he has been reshuffled. Is that punishment? Is that punishment? So what do you think the next sports minister, if he get the opportunity, he will do? He will do worse things. So people must be made to pay a price for whatever I mean, whether it's crime or omission or commission. Not until we do that and this is my political right-hand man, I cannot punish him. Then I tell you, I don't want to mention it, but there are some key people in some government that started very well. Getting to the end, they were failing because the very person close to you commits something. You are not able to punish him. And that is it. You lose the moral right to punish anybody.
In reference to what you said about the sports minister, there's a committee that's in place and it's supposed to investigate. Now, this one, there are committees that are also in place. Okay, so the point is, even before we come down to the end of the matter, through our investigations, somebody should take responsibility for it.
Of course. You see, you don't have to.
Why is it that in Africa we don't do that? Because even you, if you were in that very position, you wouldn't do that.
I haven't been in that position.
Yes, of course.
And I can give you an example.
Hypothetically, because we behave like the same species. And we've seen recurrence of precedent of such nature. People don't resign.
I personally can give you a living example. I was the board chairman of a rural bank, which I helped to set up. There was an incident where the manager was, an audit findings was made against the manager, which was very serious, to the extent that he went to the extent of taking money physically. And we met as a board. I put all the things.
Were you the board chairman?
I was the board chairman. We met.
Congratulations.
And I told them that, look, this is it. The manager must go.
But you're 1 in a million. Doesn't happen.
Yeah. And many people said no. I said, well, it was put to a vote.
But because you did doesn't mean your ilk or your kind will do. That's the point.
I wanted it to be on record. When the vote went against me, I resigned as a board chairman. And I wrote to the Bank of Ghana. You can go there, copy of the letter, you can find it. And I cited all the reasons why I'm resigning. Because I don't want to be part of a rot like this. I don't want to mention the name of the bank. Eventually, the Bank of Ghana stepped in, the manager was sacked, the board still continued.
And you were restored to your position?
No, I didn't want to go back.
Okay.
I didn't want to go back. I don't believe that you have to cut corners to make it in life. After all, what do we want? You can have all the monies in the world. When you die, it is that 6 feet that you all go into.
Well, good concept you have about life, but it doesn't permeate everybody's principles in life.
I'm looking forward to the day that we'll have a leader who will champion some of these things And he will say that even if my wife does it,
Now
she
you
will
believe
go.
that leader is who?
Well, I know it will come definitely.
Okay.
I don't want us to turn into MPP and
I thought you were about to mention it. That's how come I asked you that very question. Though. But now we need to get some conclusiveness in this very subject. Do you think that the way we're going about this very matter the same way we've dealt with others, putting first we start with press conferences, then at the tail of the press conference, a committee date of establishment will be announced. And now has been, I'm sure in the next few days we'll get a committee together. Then the committee will put a matter together. And as Mr. Boaji Jedu is saying, well, we're going to have finality to the subject of the committee sittings. The report will be presented. Another matter will crop up. And for example, we were so much on this World Cup issue.
Yes.
And now we've forgotten.
No, we haven't forgotten.
IMF came. From IMF, then we're now here.
We haven't forgotten. But let me come to what you say. I think the other issue maybe hasn't got it well. The import of what you're saying is that the Minister of Finance wanted to audit the place and gave it that within the short time there was a fire there. I'm sure the import is whether somebody was trying to sabotage because he called for audit of the place. If I get you very well.
Yes.
That's the import.
That's a rationale.
Not because
that's my thinking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Especially with what
because
the Interior Minister
said. Because if the that I am going to audit you,
he got what I said.
Then
what I said.
I didn't get it.
Yeah,
but he also had a view.
Yeah, I had a view that yes, it could be.
The way he said that the audit, because I said the import is that in other words, is it the call of the audit that has made preempt somebody to act that? I mean, that's the import I'm trying to get what you're saying here, and that's what we should look at. This is, but for me, that's not the issue. Yes, he called for audit for the place, but my issue is whatever be the circumstances, it could have been prevented by putting the necessary measures, not only waiting for because somebody has called for this and going on. And you answered very well, like some of the measures could have been CCTV cameras or whatever it is, and other issues that have been there and going on. Then you come to the issue of the leadership you are talking about. You see, there's a saying that a leader is a reflection of his people. I'm sure. A reader is a reflection.
That's a self-indicting.
That's a self-indicting. I'm only telling you that you're gone.
I'm saying that's a self-indicting.
He explained what I've said. No, he explained what he said that we talk of leadership. And I'm glad you cut leadership cut across. Like he's a leader, what you have said. Like I can cite a lot of examples what you have said. I have worked with the public sector not less than 15 years. In fact, you can ask Joe Osewusu. I was his deputy at DVLA.
Oh, you were?
Oh, yes. I was the director of finance and administration at DVLA. And go and find out. Most measures you put, I brought the banking system, the DVLA.
It was a collaborative effort. But he was here, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yes, and he will tell you, at time he himself has to tell me, like, you are too strict. He was my boss.
So you helped him to introduce a reform?
All those reforms, he knows it very well. I was the director of finance next to him on an art, and this and go on. And I can also tell you that when you go to the pension, before these reforms came, I was the head of pension controller. I worked with controller for almost 8 years. And I'll set an example, like what you would say, of a lady, a teacher who retired over 45 years from the voter registry, a director. And when she came, I just came there 3 months. She came and said, look, sir, I've been chasing my pension for 6 years, I didn't get it. I called the supervisor who came in and said, oh, sir, the file is missing. So I told her, okay. The woman nearly collapsed. I said, madam, relax, you get your check, don't worry about that. So I told the girl that, go back. If you don't get the file, go home. So we started 50 minutes. I went back, she was sitting in the front. I said, look, you think I'm joking? Go and take control. Go home until you get the file. Don't resume work. Within the next 15 minutes, she brought the file back. And I told her 3 minutes, 3 days, get the file ready, come for your check. I can tell you many of these things. Leadership is all cut across.
Why is it that we don't have this cutting across?
Yes, because when you design a system, you see...
It's the human beings who make the system.
Because
and the systems are human.
It's because people are not punished. You see, the good ones may be few. The bad ones are many. But because they are not punished, people are even good. I tend to copy the bad ones. You see, the system,
so what should be done?
The system does not...
What should be done? You're talking about leadership.
The system should reward those who are hardworking and good and punish people who are going on. If you don't have a system that punish people and reward those who are going on, then everybody does what so things fall apart in discipline setting. And when in discipline setting, you go on. That's the major thing I call. And I'm glad when you talk of our attitude, when you started our attitude in Ghana, that's part of the leadership, the attitude. And so you must have this reward and punishment in the system and go on. I'm only trying to tell that otherwise every day, I've been here before 2 times or talk, we'll keep on talking this and go on and go on.
Let me tell you, there have been cases that have been investigated.
Yes.
in this country.
Yes.
We're 2 years running into the Mahama-led administration.
Yes.
And whether things are dragging or not, or whether we're saying that we live in a constitutional dispensation as a result of that, we have to follow lay down rule of law principles. There are also actions that the law allows officials who are in authority to take actions that are allowable.
Yes, and you could see that in recent, you could see that recent time is just happy in certain issues, like certain that of the how do they call it, the sports. I don't want to go there because they talk about. I mean, but when you come, for example, look at what happened in the fire outbreak in the DC. Dr. Kwame immediately set a committee and gave them only 10 minutes to finish, and I bet you that he will take measures against those people who go on. Well, look at the how they call it, the transport. I mean, you get the point of going on.
MMT.
So yes,
MMT you are talking about.
Yes, you could see that the minister will intervene. Yes,
ECG warehouse.
Yes,
put in a private warehouse again.
No. What I'm saying that you wanted measurement. I said that you could see that the minister of power
and $2.6 million spent.
But what I'm saying, the minister of power has acted quickly. You could see that the minister of Dr. Kwame Donko very swiftly,
sir, beyond the action, quickly, don't you think that we need to take action beyond the action?
Yes, you take action beyond the action when you find the culprit.
Right. No,
and I can tell you that yes.
That's a rhetoric.
That is a.
I'm telling you, this is just a rhetoric.
It's not a rhetoric. All right. We'll find out the punishment, and the people that will be done will dealt accordingly. Yes.
Okay.